Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicola and I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new around here, it's great to have you, and if you are a returner, thank you very much for coming back and spending some time with me today. So today I've got a little stitch with me for you, and it's one where excuse me, I will be chatting along where possible. And today's project that I'm working on is my a stitching shelf, the supersized regular colour version. No, wrong way around. The regular sized max colour version. I will get this right one day. Okay, and you know, we are that's it. Yeah, we are going to get cracking on this one. So I hope everybody is doing well. That looks really washed out. I don't know why. I hope everybody's doing well. We're okay. Weather here is very windy. Not necessarily cold, but windy. I was disturbed quite a bit by the wind last night. And as I sit here, I can hear the wind coming down the chimney, and it was a little bit drafty as well yesterday. These colours are definitely showing up slightly paler than what they should be. I don't know why. Anyway, so what's been happening for the last couple of weeks? So we've had a bit of a schedule change, and I'm now doing a weekly Flosstube and a weekly stitch with me, sometimes two if I can. And yeah, I seem to be okay with it. I've released the Flosstubes on Tuesdays, and then the stitch with me's on Thursday or a Friday, depending on when they're ready, because I have to wait for Andy to process them and then for me to upload onto YouTube. So what's been happening over the last couple of weeks? Well, I've had a few bits go on. We finally reached February, because today we are in February, which is good because January has about, you know, 80 days or something daft like that, or that's the way it feels. And January was quite an expensive month, and it shouldn't be really, but hey ho. So here's what's been going on. So at New Year's we had some car trouble, and it turned out that the electrics had gone all out of whack, and then Andy took it off the drive one day to go to work. My drive's quite steep, and Andy dropped the car down off the drive to go to work, and it was making this ridiculous chugging noise, and it was really loud. So I said to him, you know, take it to the garage, because this is like the week between Christmas and New Year when nothing is open. Let's tighten up my stand. Anyway, he did find a garage that was open and had a look at it, and Andy had a Google as well. So at least, you know, perhaps we could have an idea of what was going wrong. And he came up with the summation that it was the alternator. Now, the amount I know about cars, I can write on a postage stamp, I'm not going to lie. So he took it to said garage and he said to the mechanic, I think it's the alternator. The mechanic says, leave it with me, I'll have a look at it. So he had a mosey up then a bit later on and he said, oh yes, it's definitely the alternator. Apparently on the alternator there is a block that's made of concrete, or a casing that's made of concrete, or, you know, like I said, I know nothing about cars, and this thing was split in two. So of course the alternator was not working correctly. So the garage replaced the alternator, but still all the electrics were out of whack, and every time Andy got in the car it was like alarm bells and whistles. It was just ridiculous. So I said to him, I says, you need to take it back because obviously something's not right. You know, he's meant to have fixed it, but it's not fixed. So out comes Google again. Turns out, with modern cars, that there's an ECU, which is like a brain, and it has to be told that the faults have been fixed for it to work properly. And the mechanic hadn't told the ECU that the faults had been fixed, so of course Andy's got in the car and thinks that you know, everything had been done, and of course it hadn't. So back to the garage it went. So the mechanic did what he should have done in the first place, and I just said to Andy, I said, don't take it to him again. Then we carried on, and the vast majority of problems had resolved, although there was still one or two minor electrical problems, like, you know, it was in the minus temperatures, -2, -3, and it was showing on that car that the outside temperature was something like 18 degrees or something like that. So there were obviously still problems, and Andy said that there was an issue. When you first turn the ignition on, you get like a red battery, and it wouldn't switch itself off, so you had to turn it off to turn it back on again to get that light to switch off, kind of thing. It's just sort of, you know, little bits that didn't necessarily affect the running, but were enough for you not to have confidence in the car. So fast forward to last Friday, and Andy and I had planned to go to Lincolnshire for his channel, have an overnight stay. You know, we were going to go and have our tea, have an overnight stay, do a bit of filming, and then come back on Saturday. And he'd planned to film 5 villages. So Friday night after work, I jump in the car and off we go. Everything is fine. We got to where we were going to, which was a place called Cleethorpes, and went parked up and went to, there's quite a popular restaurant in Cleethorpes called Steele's that does fish and chips. It's been there for donkey's years. And we went and had our tea, and then we went to the amusement arcade because we're big kids, and at the seaside, well, you got to do, haven't you? And then we had a little walk, and we did a bit of filming for his channel, and then we got back in the car, and I said to him, I says, right, there's little Tesco's on the way out. For those of you who don't know, Tesco's is a UK chain supermarket, especially for my overseas viewers. But they also have like a smaller version, like they call it an express. And I said to him, I said, let's go to Tesco's just so I can get a drink for overnight and anything else that you know we may need. You know, let's just pop it. Yeah, no problem. So we stop at this Tesco. Got out. I went in the supermarket and got what we wanted. You know, a couple of drinks and what have you. Gets back in the car, and Andy has a bit of difficulty finding reverse gear. Anyway, he tinkered with it a bit and he got it into reverse, and off we went. And then we got out onto the main road, and he's moving from first into second gear, and he couldn't get into second gear. He could get into third and the others, and he's like, well, that's a bit odd. Anyway, got to the hotel, and Andy sits and has the clutch down and moves the gear stick through all the gears, and it all goes in fine. And you know, and he thinks, well, it must be all right. You know, it must have just been a one-off, a bit of an anomaly. So went to bed that night. Andy said, I'm going to leave you in the room in the morning. I'm going to go and do the first village because it's really, really tiny. I said, okay, fine, no problem. I have no problem with that. So Andy went off to film the first village early on Saturday. Came back to the hotel, and I said to him, did the car behave? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh. So we left the hotel to go to do his next village, and the problem obviously was there, and it was sort of quite prevalent. So I said to him, I said, look, you know, there's two things that could be wrong with it. It could be a case of you need some simple gearbox oil, but it could be a case of the gearbox. And like I said, I'm no mechanic, but it potentially would be one or other of those things. So I rang my brother, who's a bit of a car czar, and he said, well, you're right, it could be one of these things. It could be either, you know, just needing some gearbox oil, or it could need a new gearbox, and if you need a new gearbox, it's a 4-figure sum. And I was like, that's really the news that I wanted to hear in January. So anyway, we went to do the second village. So Andy's third of that day, and we're both of us getting a little bit sort of increasingly concerned as time went on. And I just said to Andy, I said, look, you know, we've got a bit put by for emergencies. This really is an emergency. Let's have a look and see what our options are in terms of a new car. Because to be fair, even if he had that one fixed, he's lost all faith in it. So we went and had our lunch and sat and had a look online, and in our hometown we found a couple of places. Coffee time. So Andy says, right, we're cutting short this run. So he wanted to do 5, he says, but I'll have to be satisfied with 3. Let's get back, go to this place, and because we'd seen a car that we liked, and have a look at this car and see if we can secure it. Yep, no problem. So we got that, went straight to this place. Now, it was quite fun because we got on the motorway. Luckily, it's all motorway back. And obviously, to go up in the gears, we had to go, instead of from 1, then 2, then 3, up to 6, we had to go 1, then 3. Sometimes 4th worked, sometimes it didn't. To 5th. And 6th just, eventually, you know, we managed to get the car into 6th for motorway driving. So we get to the car place, and the car that we'd looked at that we'd thought would have been ideal had actually gone, which was a shame. And then the second car that we looked at had also gone, which was a shame. But our third choice was there. And even better, it had a reduction in price. Now, obviously it's not a new car, it's a second-hand one. But there's no such thing as anything cheap at the moment. So we did the deal there and then for this replacement car. And he says, you can have it, but the mechanic wants to put a new timing belt on it, which is obviously quite important. So it's going to be probably Tuesday. So yeah, that's fine, no problem at all. This was on Saturday, so we had Sunday, Monday, and the majority of Tuesday without a vehicle. And wouldn't you know it, on Sunday, that's when I kind of got to think, oh, I really want to go out somewhere, but of course I can't because I've got no car. Anyway, Andy, of course, couldn't work because his job as a courier means he can't work, and he had to put back his filming again, because obviously he couldn't drive to where he needed to be. Where am I? There. Which was a bit of a pain. So he's had the last sort of, you know, from Saturday he's not left the house, and he's just edited and made videos and prepped and, you know, done all of the bits that he likes to do. So we have our money in a joint account, and obviously when you're paying a 4-figure sum, cash is no longer king. More and more places, certainly since the pandemic, are not accepting cash. So most places go via a card payment, which is what we thought would happen when we got this new car. But this guy didn't accept card payments, didn't have a card payment facility. So I said to him, I says, well, the only way I can make this payment really is via a bank transfer. I'd have to leave a deposit. He said, oh yeah, bank transfer is fine. Now, even though Andy and I share an account, there's only me with the banking app on my phone. So what I said to him was, when you go and collect the car, I will be working. So you will need to take my phone and do the bank transfer. Yeah, that's fine. So that afternoon, yesterday afternoon, now, like I've said before many times, I work from home, I work remotely. And obviously I rely on an internet connection. We started with this high winds yesterday, and it was interrupting the internet connection. Now, in order to log in to my work's network on my laptop, I have to generate a secure, it's like a number, like a token or whatever, via an app on my phone. And about 20 minutes before Andy was due to leave to pick the car up, we lost internet. So I said to him, I says, we can't, you can't take my phone because I need it for my token to log on, because you know the internet keeps dropping, and I'm going to have to end up restarting my computer if the internet drops for more than a certain amount of time. The only way to get back online is wait for the internet to be restored and then restart your computer. And of course then I can't log on because I don't have the app. So what you're going to have to do is, when you get there and you're ready for the payment, you have to send me a text message with the amount for me to pay, and then your chap will have to verify that he's got it. It's the only way that we can do it. What a blooming palaver. So I'm at work, I'd gone to pick up the car, I'm in work, and then I needed to Zoom with one of my managers. Just as I'm in the middle of the Zoom, the text message comes in. So I'm sort of trying to surreptitiously make this transfer whilst talking to my manager, so that Andy can come home with this car. It just seemed like a bit low on an hardy. That, something went wrong, something went right, something went right, something went wrong. It was just ridiculous. It really was. But we've got there in the end, and we have a car. I hear footsteps. Hello. Are you ready to go? No? Okay. So I've got a child here. Hannah, you can just walk past normally, So, yeah. So we're starting February with a new set of wheels, a new car. And I think Andy's happy. He has to be, because, obviously, he's depleted our savings to get it. But there's not a lot we can do about that. Hey, savings are meant to be used at some point, right?
I didn't touch my savings.
Good for you. So that was my last weekend in January. So here's hoping that February is a better month.
Well, we're going to arcade, aren't we?
So we have a few plans already in place for February. I'm going to take the girls out for a Sunday day trip. And we are also going to, me and Andy I've got a week off in February, so we're going to go filming during that week as well. Luckily his channel is able to sort of pay primarily for that. Obviously there'll be a little bit of top up, but on the whole it pays for it. But January, February, finances are always that little bit tight. and it's no exception this year. So I don't know if you've watched my recent video before coming here, but something I do want to pick up. I've had an issue with spammers putting links on my videos. Do not click any links. I am not running any competitions or anything like that, and I certainly wouldn't expect, if I was doing a giveaway, for somebody to pay for, you know, postage or towards that item. That is not the way a giveaway works. And also I am now approving all comments and responses, so don't be concerned about making a comment. It just won't appear straight away because I will have to press the accept button, and this again is a way of filtering out, you know, whether or not the person commenting is a genuine person or a bot or a scammer or whatever, as much to protect me as to protect you guys. Hannah, shush. Camera shy, but has got a big gob. So yeah, comments won't appear straight away. They would just need to wait for me to click and accept them. So with me now doing a weekly Flosstube, those Flosstubes are now a little bit, a bit backache, a little bit shorter. Instead of them being about 20 to 25 minutes, we're looking at sort of 10ish. I hope that that's sufficient, but I can't fill time with nothing. I've noted that already, you know, one of the first responses to my new Flosstube was a dislike, which is fine. You know, I mean, I take the rough with the smooth. But, you know, I mean, I can't sort of see if there's anything about a stitching video that somebody would dislike, so all I can imagine is it's the format. Or maybe somebody just doesn't like me, and that's fair enough. If you don't like me, you don't like me. I can't change your opinion. But
They must have been watching it upside down and clicked the wrong one.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Hannah says they must be watching it upside down and clicked the wrong one.
You got a plain bobble?
Hannah, no. Sort yourself out. I'm doing this. You know, for an hour, I'd like to be off mum duty and just able to do a stitch with me, but obviously I can't. Don't know if I've got anything else to talk about. Oh, that was the other thing that I did for Andy's channel. Might want to go and have a look at that. Any literary fans of the Bronte sisters, a couple of weeks ago we visited Haworth, and the Bronte parsonage and graveyard, and Haworth itself, which is a lovely town. I mean Hannah went with us and I know she quite enjoyed it.
Is that the one with the sweet shop?
Yes, the one with the sweet shop.
Yeah.
It was a bit snow and ice on the ground, and we ventured to a place called Bronte Falls, and I did fall over in the snow. I didn't go further than about halfway to, because it was very treacherous the closer we got, and for safety's sake I decided I didn't want to go further down and potentially risk breaking something and having to have mountain rescue out and what have you. And it was very nice. I mean, we had a lovely day. Went to a few shops, and it was a nice farm shop on the way back. But we filmed a video about, with the Brontes and about the graves, so I'll pop a link to the video on here in case you're interested and want to go and have a look. It's quite sad how they all died, relatively young, in their 20s or 30s. And in Haworth everybody is buried except for Anne, who was in Scarborough, overlooking the sea. Because her sister didn't want them to bring her back to Haworth, because she felt it wouldn't be appropriate, as in, didn't want to move her from where she'd passed away. She just wanted to bury her there, and it was a place that Anne loved in any case. So but the church was lovely, and there's a little chapel and a vault underneath it. Obviously you can't visit the vault, but it was certainly beautiful, and we did enjoy our time there. And we went and had our lunch in a pub called the Wuthering Heights Inn, which was also quite nice. And when we came home, we were driving along the motorway and we hit a patch of fog, and it was really, really dense fog. And then when the fog lifted, can you take those in the kitchen? I'm sorry, Hannah's being an absolute pest. When the fog lifted, there was some signs on the motorway with the lane closure. And it turned out that there'd been a car on fire on the carriageway, which was surprising, to say the least. It's something you don't see every day, certainly. I also made a bit of a discovery this week as well. A few years ago, I worked in a pub in the Chilterns in Buckinghamshire. And when I say a few years ago, I mean in the early to mid-90s. And it was one of those pubs where it was actually run by an Italian. And he was the kind of guy where he was going to be there forever. You know, when you know, it was always sort of a standing joke that when he popped his clogs, he was going to bury him in the cellar, kind of thing, you know. And it turns out that he's retired and sold the pub, which I thought was quite surprising. But then again, you know, in the last few years with the pandemic and such like, it's obviously had an effect on us all. And he must have realised that it was time, you know, to leave there and to retire somewhere. And, you know, I was kind of a bit, I suppose, shocked really, although I shouldn't have been, because working it out, he must have been in his sort of 60s or 70s. But of course, you know, in my mind, he's still in his, you know, 40s running the pub, like it was when I was there. I've seen a few pictures of the refurbishment, and I have to say it looks beautiful, because the pub is being completely revamped. It was a popular place, not necessarily in terms of, oh, camera quake, in terms of what they offered, but it was a filming location for programmes like Midsummer Murders, and it was quite popular. But yeah, the new owners are making some changes, and from what I've seen, it looks beautiful, absolutely refreshed. It just seems it just, at some point I'm probably going to be down there with Andy, and it's going to seem very strange not to see my old boss behind the bar. Times move on though, I guess. Because my last memory there is like 30 years ago. It's about 30 years ago that I worked there twice. I worked there for a while, then I left, and then I went back. First time that I worked there was in 1993. And then I went back in 93 to 94, and then I went back in 95. I'll see you later, Hannah. I do apologise about Hannah. She claims to be camera shy, but yet the second I get a stitch with me out, she's there, chatting away. But we, you know, won't talk on a camera at all. Anyway, she's gone out now, so when I was kind of finding out about this pub now changing hands, and I saw a review that you know, or an article that named the episodes of Midsummer Murders that had been in. So of course I went to watch them, and I felt quite indignant, really. I know it sounds daft, but I was like, why are they stood behind my bar? Because that was like my bar when I was there. I ran, you know, the bar side of things. I was the main person who served in the bar, and you know, sorted out the bottling up and, you know, helping keeping the beer and all the rest of it. And those were happy days. I lived in at the pub. It was something I did obviously as a single person. And, you know, I worked 5.5 days a week. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, in the Chilterns, in a village, what's not to love? Obviously, it was a bit isolated. I didn't drive back then. But what's not to love about, you know, the Chilterns? And it's an area of outstanding natural beauty, and I made a lot of friends and acquaintances, and I mean, I'm not in touch with many people from my time down there, but I am in touch with one or two. It seems to be, it just feels strange, and I don't know. I might be rambling. So in February, what are my plans? Well, I've got to start and finish. And if you've seen my Flosstube, you will know that that is the London by night, London night scene. And it's got some glow-in-the-dark thread, which appears to be sort of quite springy, if that makes sense. I might even be able to, I can reach them. I sorted out the flossers for it, ready for starting. So this is the glow-in-the-dark thread. It's E940, and I don't know if you can see, but it's got like a stretch in it, whereas a normal, oh, camera quake, the normal DMC does not have any sort of stretch in it, but this one, it's like elastic. So it's going to be fun trying to stitch with that. We will manage. And I'm doing that on the fabric in the pack, which is a navy 14 count Aida, and there are fractional stitches in it, a fair bit of back stitching, which I am going to do as I go along, because I learnt my lesson from the heliotrope fairy. You know, I mean, I spent, I think, 3 days back stitching that, you know, three times that I got it out back stitching it, which seemed like a long time to be doing back stitch. So it's quite nice. I'm actually doing a bit on this that's not heavily confetti, which is nice, which is good. But in this next week, I obviously I'm doing a session on this today. Want to work on my Afromov piece. Want to get the Roman Middle Earth out because both of them didn't see any rotation time in this last week. Weekend at home this weekend because we have Andy's children. That was the other thing that has happened. His daughter is having some difficulties at home, and we were asked if we could. Oh, so sorry, I keep camera quaking today. We were asked if we could take her for a few days, which of course we said yes. But then it transpired that for varying reasons it didn't happen. So obviously Andy's got concerns that everything is okay. We're going to be going to a meeting and with some local support services and see what we can do to hopefully turn things around. It was a little bit concerning at first, obviously, but we can only do what we can do. I mean, we're a good 45 minutes drive away from them, but it does seem like there's some issues which are having an impact on wider family life, which obviously need to be dealt with. Anyway, so yes, I'll have the weekend at home this weekend, so I should be putting in some work on Afromov, Realm of Middle Earth map. Maui Princess could do with coming out for a spin, and you know, I'm up to 50%, well, more than 50% on Polar Bear and Cub, and obviously if we can build on that and get that one close, because that, I thought it would, you know, I've been sort of saying it's Maui Princess that'd be next for a finish. It won't, it'll be the Polar Bear and Cub, and if we can get that one finished, then great. Pandemic is also looking very good. I'm really happy with my recent progress on that. Probably about halfway through page 17. So when I've done my February start and finish, Pandemic will come back out and see how many pages we can get done. I just want to stitch all the things, but I don't want to start a whole heap of stuff and then find myself overwhelmed with work in progress, because that for me would not be very good. I don't think I could cope with that. I think definitely Realm of Middle Earth is now my oldest whip. In fact, you know, pretty sure it is. And followed by My Princess, Christmas Window of Christmas. And then Envy, then this, and then my Afromov piece for the biggest pieces that I have. Managed to enable another person on Instagram. I put a picture of this piece up the other day and got a comment that says it's my fault that they've bought the fabric now. Yep, blame away, I don't mind. I've been enabled enough times, I'm just sharing the love. I do, you know, there's not a single piece of mine that I don't enjoy stitching on. I do enjoy now this sort of routine that I've got, because it means I'm getting regular finishes and then, you know, working away at my bigger pieces. So, although, you know, when I do use Stitch Pal and it tells me that I'm not going to finish a piece until 2033 at the current rate, it's a bit concerning. But as my larger work in progresses get smaller, you know, the number gets smaller, then yeah, I'll be fine. I want to try and finish 2 big ones to start 1 big one. So that means out of the big pieces that I've got, I'll perhaps want to finish Maui Princess and maybe Envy before I start another big piece. Best laid plans though. When I've done my Polar Bear and Cub, I might start on the round piece that I was gifted, She Sleeps. But we'll see. We'll see. I've also still got the travel posters series. I could carry on and do another one of those. Oh, I've got so much stitching to do. So much stitching. Not enough time. It's such a shame. I keep saying it's such a shame that work interrupts stitching time. I don't want to wish my life away, but oh, blimey. I'd be so happy if I could retire tomorrow. So many projects. Yeah. So I'm nearly at that time. That time I have to go get ready for work. And talk to people all day. At least my voice is warmed up. Sometimes I've gone up in the morning, put my headset on, and I've sounded like some daft old woman. Can't even speak. do hear some daft things in my line of work. My job's quite funny at times. Like when you get asked a daft question and you think, you are far more qualified than I am. To do what you are doing, you have had to obtain a professional standard, professional qualification. And you're asking me this. I do find it funny some days. Somebody was trying to, with one of our colleagues yesterday, was, doing like the phonetic alphabet. And they actually said B for Boy George. I was laughing my head off at that. I was like, oh God. There's always one bit of humour in a day. I was talking to a chap yesterday and his surname was Sentence. And I was like, yeah, I bet you feel like you're serving a sentence doing this at the moment. And he was like, yeah, I've not heard that one before. It's really nice that, I can have a laugh with people and them not take offence or anything like that. It's quite good. And then I helped somebody yesterday. He says, oh, I've rung through before and I got cut off. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. What can I do to help restore your faith? And I did it. And he was, happy enough by the time that the call had ended. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of TLC. I think some of the people that I work with can be a little bit brusque on the phone, a little bit, I won't say unpleasant because that's not the right word, but it's almost like they're not hearing everything, if that sort of makes sense. And when this chap was explaining to me what had happened, I'm like, yeah, the person before has not heard everything. So I sort of took him back to basics and said, look, I know what you're trying to do. I've got some screens here that show me a grab of the process. They're not active, they're not working, but it gives me a guide that I can help you through. And then we talked him through it and it was fine. Anyway, I get one or two people that phone up and not happy, but usually we can turn it around. I don't let them leave the call unhappy, certainly, if I can. I work on the ethos of treating people as I'd expect to be treated. If I phoned somewhere and asked for some help with something, I wouldn't want it to sort of be brushed off. I'd want that person to do what they could to help me. And I've always done that. And, for me, I'm all about quality. Speaking of quality, that is a quality hour spent on some stitching. So let's have a look and see how many I've done. So mark these off. So that is 175 stitches done. It's looking good. I am enjoying this piece. I just love these books. I just think they're lovely. And that bird coming through there, that I think it's a budgie something. Lovebird. Great. Anyway, that's all from me for today. As ever, thank you very much for watching. To support the channel, all you need to do is just ensure that you've subscribed, hit the notification bell, and just watch my videos. But other than that, I'll be back next week for a Flosstube. There may be an alternative. Oh, excuse me. Oh. There may be an alternative stitch with me come out later this week. We'll have to see how much I can get done. But other than that, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.